Hello and welcome back to pattern making with Let Morris. Back again, just to finish off this style that we're doing. I'm just going to be going on to the sleeve. We've done part 1 and part 2, which is the back and the front, and we're also now going to create this sleeve, gorgeous sleeve. So we've got our clean sheet of paper, the sleeve block which we need. What I've done is I've traced off the block, because you never mark up your block, always trace it off, and then you can do all your design and whatever you need on the new shape that you've marked off. So I've marked it off, and there we go, it looks like that. And I've created the line going through. We can use that as our grain line. I've created where I want the short sleeve, because it's going to be a short sleeve, very puffy, because the type of fabric that I want to create it in is this organza fabric here, and to give it a nice puff, so I've marked on the line where I want it to be, the short sleeve, and I've got the line going through where's the elbow, and I've also created a little design feature on the sleeve here. I'm going to take it to a point, a V. I've curved it round around there like that. So you can take it to a V as well. Originally I wanted to do the V, and then I thought let's do the curve. And then I thought let me do like to a pointy, so we keep it all pointed, you know, squared, almost like we've got on the neck and along the princess body bit here. So here we go. So I've taken a draft or a draw around the block, and I've created where I want my short sleeve to be, and where my elbow line is, so it gives me a guide from the short sleeve to the elbow to create my band inset that I've got on the sleeve here, right? So I want it just above the elbow. So what I'm going to do now is I've traced that off, and then I'm just going to create on there that shape that I want. So that's my center of my sleeve, which is a grain line. So either side of that, I want it to be about 4 inches. So 2 inches, 2 inches, and I want it to be above the elbow line. So I'm going to just roughly take the line round like that, and I'll roughly take it around, but you can use your, if you're not good at curving, then you just use your curve. But this line here that I'm creating, this is a style feature. It just depends on you, what you want. You've got to decide. Look at your arm, look at your sketch, look at your drawing, see what you want to do. So I'm going to take that line down to there like that, shape that round, and take that round like that. So that is the shape in there that I want, right? So it's got to marry up from the center there and there and there, right? So that's a guideline for me there. Okay, so once I've created that on, I know where my short sleeve is. I'm going to decide, I know I want that very puffy. So whatever this measurement is from there to there, whatever it is, I'm going to do double, 3 times that amount, so I can get a lot of puff. You can do 4 times the amount, but I think 3 times will be plenty, or 2.5 times again. So what I've done is I'm going to create some lines through there. So I've got one line going through there. I'm going to do them evenly, spacing them out. And I'm going to do another line across here, because these lines that I'm creating, you're just going to slash them and open out to get your gathers. So we do them evenly. So I just want it about there, so they spaced out nicely, roughly about there and roughly about here. There's no set measurement, but make sure they're spaced out evenly as much as you can. So I want the gathers over the head here, and I want them on the cuff here. So now I'm going to trace off or cut out I'm going to cut out this draft that I've got here, and then I'm going to work on this. So I then cut this out that I've got here. Once again, don't forget to share, to like, comments, anything you're not sure on, and I'll pick them up and I'll help you through it. Message me, subscribe. So I'm taking that round there like that because I'm cutting it all out. I've put my little notches in, my balance mat notches, to tell me where's the back and where's the front, because that's important. And it's a long sleeve. It's plain at the bottom. It's not got anything going on. It's just a plain sleeve at the bottom. Everything, all the excitement of this sleeve is going on at the top of the sleeve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate this section here. All of that. I've got my front balance mark, I've got the center there, and I've got 2 balance mark for the back. So I'm just going to cut out this line here. That's one piece, my top half. And then I'm also going to, that's it, they separated now. I'm going to put a mark where I want the gauging to start. So about 1 inch from the underarm, that's where I want the gauging to start. So I'm going to put it on the top bit as well. So the gauging is going to start from there when I come to put my notches in, right? So that's where it's going to be. So once I've got that, I'm going to now open the section. We put that bit away for the moment, the under bottom section of the sleeve, and we're going to work on this section. I'm going to put a line down there because I'm going to treat that as my center, because this is my center line here. And then I'm going to separate the pieces. I'm going to label them. So we've got 1, got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, we've got 5 pieces. So you don't get, if anything should fall on the floor or along the table and you had to go somewhere, when you come back, you know what piece go to what piece. You start off with 1, then we go to 2, cut them off, cut them up, separate them. Then we go to number 3, right up to the top, cut them, separated them totally. And we've got 4 and 5. So there we go, they're all separated. So we got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to take number 3 and I'm going to place it on my grain line like that. And I'm actually going to stick it down with your sellotape, or if you've got prick stick. I normally use some prick stick, and I'm going to, so that it doesn't move, so you've got freedom of your hands to move about. So I'm going to stick that onto that onto that line like that, and then I've got the other 4 pieces. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to open them out so that I've, whatever the measurement is that I need. If you get hold of your front, let's bring those back over, your front and the back pattern like that, so that we can see. So you've got to have the measurement. This is where I want my gathers to finish, from the shoulder, and then over the back I want it to finish. You've got match a notch mark. I want it to finish at that point here. So whatever these measurement is, from there to the shoulder, if it's, say for example, it's 4 inches, I'm going to make it, because of the type of the fabric that I'm using, the Georgette, I'm going to do 4 and 4, 8, 12 inches. I'm going to put 12 inches in there, and that is 4 again, 12 inches. So I'm going to open it out at the front 12 inches and at the back 12 inches. So that's because I want it very full. So if you want it fuller, then you can use more. You can use 3 times the measurement. it just depends on how full you want your gathers to be and how full you want your sleeve to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open it out. So on this side, I'm going to open it. So I've got I want 12 inches. So I'm going to put 6 inches in there, 6 inches in there. So you open it out, you measure it out till it comes to 6 inches. So from there to there, you open out till you get your 6 inches. 6 inches. So we've got to stick a piece of paper under here because we've got a bit missing. So we make sure we got enough paper when you do this before you start. I'm going to stick that onto there. Right, so now I can go ahead. So I'm going to open this out 6 inches because I want it to be very full. So I'm going to open that out 6 inches. I want it to be very full because it's very fine, the fabric. Once you got that, you secure it down on your paper like that. I'll just put a little bit more prick stick on there, or your sellotape, whichever you use. I'm going to stick that onto there. Actually, the best thing to do is to make sure you do a little mark so that you know exactly where you want it to be. So it's to that point. So it's going to be very full to that point. So now you can stick it. So you've marked it out because you're doing it at the top to that point. We won't stick the bottom down yet because we come to that. We'll show you how that is done. And then you measure again your 6 inches in there and at the bottom here as a guide, and then we're going to stick that one up there. Make sure it's like going parallel to your center front. So we stick that onto the top there, onto that one. Then you do the same on this side. Make sure you've got enough paper at the side. And once again, I'm going to stick a little bit more here, bit of paper on there so that we've got enough. So we've got enough paper there. So once we've got that, it's all stuck on, we've got enough paper, then we just open out. We do the same thing on this side. I'm going to open out the same amount so it's even from the grain line, so we get even markings. So that goes to there, and we do that at the top. Make sure that they're almost parallel. You'll find that one's going up higher, lower down, but don't worry because we're going to get nice shaping after we've opened out the amount of fullness that we want in our sleeve to be very full. So we're actually doing 3 times the amount. Actually, you can do 2.5, but because I want this to be really puffy, I'm going to open it 3 times the amount. So that goes out to there. So now I've opened out. So what I'm going to do, I am just going to mark at the top, just a little bit there. Sorry, this is caught up under there. Let's get that out. And I'm going to mark at the top of there. And I'm going to mark at the top of there for the moment. Top of that one and the top of that one. Now, it comes to the bottom of the sleeve, which is this section here. I'm going to measure from there to there, and I'm not going to put as much as I put at the top. Maybe I put 2.5. So you measure that again, and whatever that is, you're going to measure 1.5 more times that. Okay, so So whatever that is, and you know whatever that is, you're going to measure to make sure it's the same distance here. So I'm going to measure out whatever that is, and I'm going to put a mark there, and I'm going to go that side, and I'm going to put a mark there as well. So I know that's even and that's even out there. So once I've got that, from the underarm at the top of the arm, I'm going to draw a line straight out to there to match that point that I've got there, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing, the end of there, so that I've got that marking there. So once I've got that, all I'm going to do is to get a good run, nice shape from there, that's going up. Don't worry, just follow it round till it comes all the way around. You're raising that and raising that because it's higher there. So I'm just going to follow the shape round so that I get a nice shape all the way around, like that, coming from that side, making sure that we get everything's all in. So this is the back section, that's your back, and this is your front. So you just follow the shape round, because at that point there it's high to that point. That's why I say mark it to the high point there, and then you just follow the shape all the way around. See what's happening? You're gaining some head at the back here because we're following the height of that back one all the way around to the height of the front one here. So we just shape that all the way around. You follow that round with your shape back into your arm, the armhole, the head of at the armhole of the sleeve. So that's what we're getting, that shape. So this is the front area and this is the back. So we can just put two little balance mark there. So the next thing we need to do is to measure the length of the sleeve under the arm and make sure we put a mark there. We've already got that on, so we just mark it just there at the end of it, and we do the same thing here. So once we got that, once again we have to do a nice shaping. So we're going to make sure that these pieces, so we mark along the edges there, that's there, that's there, and that's there. So now all we do is we've just got to get a nice shape from there. We're going to follow that down, we're dipping it. It's dipped, 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 and we're getting that shape. So there we go. So that's, we've now opened our sleeve, so we get lots of puffing in there, and we also got some puffing here. So what we have to do now is we can take these bits off because we know that is the front. We take that off, we know that's where that's raised up there, but that's fine. So we get extra puffing in there. You take all your bits away because you know what is what. Don't throw them away till the end of you making your pattern. So we can take that bits off as well. So now your sleeve is looking like that because it's very, very full with your gathers. So all we're going to do now is shape that up so we get a nice run into the head and round into the under the arm. So that is your front and that is your back. All we have to do is to find out where we want the gauging to start and where we want it to finish at the back. And then with this line here, we also get a nice curve around, follow that all the way around back to there, back into that shape. So our sleeves is looking like that. So all this is all gauged up, that is all gauged up. So what we do now is we got to make sure that the arms fit into the armhole up to where the notches is, because that's where we want the gathers to start on the front. And on the back, we want the gathers to start. Let's get that. On the back, we want the gathers to start there. So what we can do is, on the back, we can make, this hasn't got any seam allowance on. So what we need to do is, we can take the seam allowance off the bodies, and we can just mark it, measure that around, and then we can put a notch where we want the gauging to start, which is there, which is that notch that we've got on there. So that's up the back. And we do the same thing at the front. Where we want the gauging to be on the front, it's there. And we do the same thing, take the seam off, because it's got no seam allowance on. And we take that round on the line, and it's to there. So we just put a basic mark there. So this is all this amount here. I'm just going to put an arrow to show you. That's where we want it all to be puffy. We want it to be gauged up. So we're going to keep this line here at the moment, and then all we do now is to add the seam allowance on, and then we'll check that sleeve allowance again. So along here we want it to be 1 centimeter, so we just put our centimeter all the way around. All the way around till we come right round to the underarm, and then we just put a seam allowance on the underarm, which is 1 centimeter. We want along here, and we want 1 centimeter along the front section as well. And we have to check that they meet, these seams here meet together before we cut out anything. We cut one side and then we check it, and then what we need is we're going to put a notch where we want the gathers to start on this under part, the under part of the sleeve. So because we want it to be very full, so we're going to go 1 inch in from the underarm and 1 inch in from the underarm here, like we've got on here. So we just put the notch. Once we've got the notch, we know that's where we want the gathers to start, there and there. So once we've got that, we just add the seam allowance on, which is 1 centimeter again around there. So this sleeve is going to be very puffy. It doesn't have to be that puff. If you don't want it that puff, you do not open it as much as I opened it. You open it less. You can do it once the amount that you need it to finish again, or 1.5 again, or twice again. I've made it twice again. So once you've got that, you then cut out the shape. Once you've done that, you cut the shape out. You check, cut one side first and check that the other side fits before you cut the other side. So we're going to go along here at the bottom. There's going to be a very puffy sleeve, this. The thing is, if you want, before you actually cut the head of the sleeve, what we need to do, if you want it to stand up a bit puffy on the head of the sleeves here, we have to take off some of the shoulders of the actual garment, and then we can even add some more on the top here and bring it back into that shape like that. So we will actually do that. We will take some off of the shoulder. So what I normally do is come back like about 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch, and then reshape that back into the armhole like that. That's telling me that I've taken some off the shoulder, and I can add it onto the sleeve, whatever I've taken off there, and then reshape the armhole with a centimeter seam. So you see what I've done, I've come in, that's my line that I'm going to stitch on, and I'm going to take that off. So I do exactly the same on the back as well, and then I can raise the head of the sleeve a bit. So just check that your shoulder seam matches. So you need to take that much off your back and take that, make that run back into there, and that runs back into there like that. So you get a nice smooth line. So we're just going to take that off. The reason why we do that is because we're going to take a bit off the sleeve. We're going to add a bit off the sleeve because we're taking it off around there. So before I cut my sleeve out, whatever I've taken off, I'm just going to add it back to the center and then take that line back into there. So I'm getting my head of my sleeve is a little bit more fuller. So I'm taking that back into my seam along there. So it's a nice curve. So all I'm going to do is to get a nice curve around the head of the sleeve with my curve that round, curve it round, so you get a nice curve along there. And you do the same thing coming around this side, so you get a nice curve. So once you've done that, we just cut out the head, cut around the head of the sleeve like that, a new line. And then after that, we're just going to check the side seam to make sure our side seams are matching. If they don't match, we just have to make sure that they're matching. Make sure you cut on the right line. So before we cut out, we make sure that side seams are matching here and like that. And we're going to just see they're a bit out there, and I'm going to take that back into there like that, back into that shape, give it that shape. So I'm going to take off that and down there and around there, because they have to match. So that's my sleeve on there. So what I'm going to do now is to create this new sleeve that I've got on a new sheet of paper and then mark off my seam allowance on it. So once again, I'm going to make a straight line on here, and I'm placing that I've just got on there. I'm going to mark around it. I'm just going to put a notch there to tell me that is the back and that is the front on that side. And I'm going to mark along there. Along there like that. And I'm also going to put a notch there where the gauging is going to go, and one on this side as well, but we need to check it. So that's my line, my new sleeve line, and I'm going to just make a nice line, smooth that round. And because we know we want an inch where the gauging is going to start, an inch along there, and this is where the gathers is going to go, in between those spaces. And the same thing going to be on the body bit, on the head of the sleeve, around there, round to there. We put a notch and two for the back, and that's where the gauging starts. That's where it starts, and that's the front. So now I'm just going to mark on, because it's already, we've already put the seam allowance on when we did the other, when we did that draft pattern. Centimeter around the head of the sleeve, take that round, centimeter all the way around. And then we've got centimeter down the side here, and we've got centimeter on on this part here where we're going to put the sleeve. And this is now our grain line, and this is our sleeve. And we're going to, sleeve, and this we're going to cut 2 of those. And also we didn't mark on the seam allowance on the bottom here, because we've got that on. Just mark them on, centimeter seam allowance along the bottom. And then we've got the notch, which is there for where it gathers. So that is our sleeve, top half of the sleeve done. So when we've cut this out and we gather it all up, it will be nice and puffy, nice and full, lots of gathers on it at the head and at this part section of the cuff bit of the sleeve. So that is the top half of the sleeve already. So that is your sleeve. So that's how we create the sleeve, and we're going to be doing the bottom half of the sleeve now. So with the bottom half of the sleeve, that's the top half, bottom half of the sleeve, we're going to cut out this shape here because we want that to be separate. So I'm going to fold that into half so that it mirrors up, so we get that in the center. So we're going to fold that over so that goes into the center, that goes into the center like that. So that shape there should be the same as that shape on that side. But to do that, for us to do that correctly, we're going to use this one that we've got and make sure it comes through on the other side, and then we can mark it out. Well, that was good because I just did that freehand, and that's come exactly on that shape. So once we've got that, we're going to take this piece out, because that is a piece that we just set in there, right? So we're going to take that shape out. We can do that both 2 ways. We can trace that off by placing that on the fold, and we just place that back on the fold, place that into there, and we're going to take this section off here, mark it to there, and we just trace that around again because we're taking that section out. Trace that off. So that's that section here. So this piece here, we can use a contrast fabric as well to do this piece, because it's just a detail